Alright, so I'm doing a new video on AN hose assembly. Um, for you guys that haven't done it before, it might seem intimidating, but it's really not that bad. So I'm going to give you some of my tips and tricks and ideas, things I've picked up along the way, and it'll make it way easier for you to assemble this if you never have before. So once you have your line, right, marked where you want to cut, right, you measure it on the car, make sure it's the right length, plumbing length you need. You want to tape where you're going to cut. So I like to use just plain old electric tape. You can use masking tape or any kind of tape like that, but I've found for me my favorite tape to use is electrical tape because it gives you some compression. You can wrap it kind of tight, and it gives you that compression to hold the braid together when you're cutting and when you're assembling. So I have it marked already, the length I need. So then I get my tape started and I pull it tight. So I'm actually compressing the braid on the line and holding everything in there nice and tight. And then, excuse me, you can use any number of cutters. I'm using a cutting wheel on a die grinder. You can use shears or snips, but it smashes the line a bit and you have to bend it back out. Not a super big deal, but you have a higher risk of maybe damaging the end and making it harder to assemble. So I like to use cutting wheel. So then I'm going to just cut straight down the center of that electrical tape where I marked. I'm going to cut my line. So watch your ears if you're using headphones. All right, and you can see the cuts through the nylon braid and the stainless braid in there, and the rubber cuts through everything really quick, really straight, and then the end doesn't get smashed. So you're gonna have a little bit of fray. So right now I'm just gonna, any kind of little nylon from the outside pieces, you want to trim those little guys up. But what I like about doing this, one, it's black line and it's black electrical tape, and it only comes down maybe less than ½ an inch. Get that to focus. So I'm actually going to leave my tape on there when I install the end, and that makes putting the collar on to install the end way easier because you don't have to worry about this nylon fraying and then making it hard to get the end on. So I'm going to grab snips real quick and snip a little piece of this off camera. Is that a little piece of frayed braid that I just snipped off. Now if you have, sorry, this thing's not going to focus, a little bit, like that little piece over there with a little piece, that's not bad, that's not going to be a problem. But you want the end to be flat as possible. And then another key, so when you use a cutting wheel, you're going to get debris. So make sure you blow out your lines before you assemble. So I'm just going to take some compressed air. Blow out the line. Alright, so after I've done that, we're ready to put the end on. So it just happens to be, I have a 90 here I'm going to put on. So remove your base collar end. Like so. And then, so this is your end, and it has this 90, has a swivel here, and then the female cap and the hose end with the AN flare. But we'll get to that in a second. So this is the end we are going to install on the hose. So if you look in there, there is a threaded portion and then like a little seat where the thread stops. And when you put your line in, you want it to go all the way up flush. So grab your line. Like I said, I'm going to leave the tape on because it makes this part easier. You don't have to try to get this on. And with With the compression of the electrical tape, holding it tight, it's super easy to get started. So if you use like masking tape or anything that doesn't have that compression, you will get a little expansion when you cut and some frayage, and it can make it a little bit trickier. So electrical tape, top tip, works great. And then you want to twist it on as you push it until it's all the way seated. And now I felt it stop. So if I look in there, it's not going to focus. You can see the steel braid on the rubbers all the way up to the threads in there, fully seated, right? And now we're going to install the hose end. So I have jaws in my vise. That's the primary method. It's the fastest, easiest, less chance of marring up the anodize on the fitting. That's what I'm going to use first, and then I'll show you a backup method if you don't have the jaws. And these jaws are made out of aluminum. They go in your vise, and they will hold the fitting while you're assembling. All right, so you don't got to go tight. There's reliefs in the corner. These are made out of aluminum. Holds it all together. Now we're going to install the end. All right. You can put a little lube on here if you want. Earl's makes a pipe end lube. You can use a little drip of motor oil, whatever you want. I have some petroleum-based spray lube here. I'll just put, that's not going to focus. I just put a little bit of lube on the end. Makes it easier to get started. So it'll wiggle it around in until the end slips into the hose in there, right? And I like to hold the end is held. I like to hold the hose firmly seated, so as I'm pushing, I don't back the hose out. And then I'm slipped inside of it. Now I'm going to hold the fitting straight and get it started by hand on the threads. So I'm just pushing in until the threads catch. Make sure you don't cross thread this. It's aluminum, you will strip it. All right, so now it's started by hand. I could continue by hand for a while, but the beauty of using the vise is now I can go to a wrench, makes it a little quicker. Granted, normally I would install this on the other end because I have more room for like the wrench to spin around. But this is what I got. You can use Allen wrenches. You can use adjustable wrenches. This is like a 15/16. It happens to fit this perfectly. And of course it hits my bench here. So I have it on I have this vise on the corner because it gives me more room to work. That's all right. We'll just twist it the rest of the way on. It's not a race here. Look, we can clear it a little bit of an angle. You just want to make sure as you're tightening this that it's not pushing the hose back out. So as it gets snug, I like to hold the hose in to make sure that it's not pushing it out as it's compressing it and sealing. And it's already getting pretty hard to turn, and the hose didn't back out at all. So the hose end is sealed. You can go a little further. If you have a little bit of gap between the collar and the end itself, it's not a big deal. Something I like to do, it doesn't really matter, but I like to line everything up so it's more aesthetically pleasing, so that the angles on the collar match this. I think it just looks a little better finished product. So it's all aligned. And that's done. So like I said, these jaws make it quicker. So there, our end is installed. Like I said, it's normal, not a big deal to have a little bit of a gap. You don't have to cinch the collar on flat and tight until it starts grinding together. So it is normal to have a little bit of gap in there. And then you can see it's pretty normal when you assemble these to scratch up the anodize, right? So if the fitting's not going in a place you're going to see it, it's not really a big deal. If you want to clean it up, just take a paint marker. I should have one somewhere. Paint pen, black paint pen, cheap, get one. You want to restore that little show quality finish. So I'm going to look around, like here, a little bit of the anodized where it was in the jaw, and just touch it up, right? So if you damage it at all as you're assembling, no big deal. You want to restore that show quality appearance, just get yourself a black paint pen, touch it up, and then no one could tell. It blends beautifully. So that's the way with the jaws. So the alternate method is the same process, but if you don't have those vise jaws, you can just use some wrenches. And again, you don't need A-N wrenches. You can just use smooth jaw, adjustable or crescent wrenches. All right. So again, I got another fitting I'm going to put on the other side of this hose I cut. Same process. Get it all the way flush, and it is. I'm going to actually do this whole one by hand, so I'm not using the jaws or the vise at all. I'll show you it's just as simple. We'll spray a lube on the end. Again, I'm holding the hose, and as I'm pushing the end in, I'm pushing back with the hose so that the collar doesn't move. And twisting a little bit so I can feel that it's inside the hose on the inside. And it started. All right. So now I'm just going to go as far as I can by hand. This will take a minute. Like I said, it's a little bit longer. It's not as quick, but it's still just as easy. You don't have to go out and buy these special tools if you don't want to. All right, it's getting hard to turn by hand. So now I'm again going to hold the hose tightly and the collar, and I'm kind of compressing the two together in my hand, a little bit of pressure, and I'm going to put my wrench on, go as far as I can go, and now it's exceeding my grip, so the hose is starting to twist on my hand as this tightens up. So just get some smooth jaw adjustable or another crescent, lock it onto the collar. Right, and then that's supplementing the jaws. So now I have the advantage of that wrench holding it as I tighten the rest of the way. Give you all a better angle here. Slug that back up. And see how I had the wrench. Granted, I'm going quick and trying to get this all done in a short amount of time, but you have a higher chance of gooning up the fitting when you do it by hand. So it's sealed. Again, it's sealed. It's tight. I'm going to bring that gap down a little more and then even it out. All right, and then I did the same thing. I like to, for aesthetics, line up the collar to that. And again, I don't know if y'all can see from my wrench slipped. Got some of the anodize that came off. Easy fix again, grab your paint pen. Give it a once over. All right, looks good. And then if you do the paint pen trick on the end, if you did goon it up a little bit, it's not a big deal. Give it a 5-10 minutes to dry before you start. Otherwise you're gonna get paint all over your hands. But that's it. That's 2 hose ends. Video is kind of long, kind of hard to tape this and get it on screen and do everything, but like I said, if you have a vise and these aluminum jaws, tons of people sell them. You can find them all over. They do make it easier. If you're just going to be installing a kit on your car, you know, you're putting on together what, 8-10 hose ends max. You don't have to spend the money on these unless you want to. I assemble lines for customers all the time, so I actually have 2 sets. I have this vise, I have another vise at the other end of the shop that I use. But that's pretty much it. So I got these ones from 4. They have magnets, which is nice too. You can put the line in at different angles, all right, whichever way you want. But so hope that's helpful. I'll add this to my install guide for y'all. But there's a straight and there's a 90. But that's all it is. And another thing, so I already blew the line out. When I install the end, I like to blow through it one more time. So I'll go back and take the shop air and blow through it. But yeah, when you cut it with a wheel, definitely blow down the line or rinse it, or get a vacuum and switch it and blow through. But you want to clean out the junk before you put it on the car, and all that stuff is in your fuel. All right, that's it.